January transfer window videos have been on YouTube since the dawn of football Twitter / YouTube itself. Some of them will have you questioning whether the person making the video should actually be your sporting director, and others, well, they make you realise why we're YouTubers and not football managers ourselves. But today I'm going to be going through my dream January for Aston Villa. I'm going to make it relatively realistic, but there are a couple of outrageous shouts in here, I can't even lie. So if you are looking forward to that, be sure to stick around till the end of the video when I go through probably the most outrageous shout yet. Before we get into it though, guys, I think 86% of people weren't subscribed on my second to last video. We've upped that. I said to you guys, can we cut it down? You did. 82% of people roughly not subscribed on my last video, which got fantastic support, by the way. Thank you. You are making this channel pop in 2025 and I love every single one of you that does it. Can we bring that number down below 80% is the challenge today. So leave a like on this video, subscribe if you haven't already for all the latest and greatest Aston Villa and Premier League content on YouTube. Without further ado, let's look at the loans out in January. This is my dream. So first of all, let's look at players that are already out on loan but are probably going to come back to the club. First off, we have the League One phenom himself, 21-year-old Louis Barry. Now, I mean, he's been scoring goals like I am overlaying on the screen for fun this season. Currently got 15 goals in 23 games. I'll just scroll his foot mob through on the screen. You'll see that he's in the 100th percentile for all of his shooting stats. He's got a couple of assists. His expected assists is actually floating at a very good percentile as well. Dribbling, he's got one of the highest percentages for successful dribbles in that league, in that position, and he also gets mucked in defence. Now, I've seen people say that perhaps we should recall him and use him in the first team this season. However, you look at the positions that he's likely to take up would be on either the left wing or up front. Once John Duran is back from his suspension, he'd be a third choice striker, and when Jacob Ramsey is fit, you would imagine he would be a third choice left winger behind McGinn, Ramsey, even Morgan Rogers if we're going to push him out there. And I think for his continuous development this season, it is important to give him game time. For that reason, I would recall him from his loan. That has already been confirmed. I would do exactly the same, and I'd probably follow what the club is going to do and loan him out to a higher level championship side. I've seen Sunderland being brandished around. Him and Joby Bellingham would be a fantastic partnership to watch, and Middlesbrough as well. I think both could work really well for him. We need to keep him playing 90 minutes a game. For that reason, he needs to be loaned out again to the Championship, get that regular football, and then we could have a right player on our hands when he returns in the summer. Next up for the recall list, it is Samuel Illing Jr. Only managed, I think, 5 or 6 games at Bologna. His loan really not working out. He plays left back or left winger, so he's going to be recalled. And again, for the same reasons as Louis Barry, I would send him back out, whether it's a team in Italy, Spain, France, maybe even Turkey, or a lower side in the Premier League, i.e. a Southampton, maybe even a Leicester. Him under Ruud van Nistelrooy might be interesting to watch. I think he will be reloaned out. He needs somewhere where he's going to get regular minutes. He's still young. And again, he's just going to be so far down the pecking order in terms of left wingers at Aston Villa that I think a loan to get him some regular football, and then we can reassess him in the summer. Again, if Ramsey's injury woes continue, perhaps we look at Illing Jr. as a successor, but he needs to get a good 20 to 25 games under his belt this season. He's not going to do it at Villa. Let's loan him out. My preference, back to Italy, a team that would play him. He knows the culture. He knows the league. He can get some good game time under his belt. Here is where I'm going to slightly move away from probably the club's plans, and I'm going to recall 2 players in my dream scenario, and they are going to be Enzo Berenshea and Kane Kessler Hayden. I really enjoy Villa in a 4-2-3-1. I think to get the best out of Onana, who we have, let's be fair, paid £50 million for, we need to play him in that double pivot with Kamara. It worked really well against Man City. Yes, didn't work as well against Newcastle, but we were actually coming back into that game before the John Duran red card debacle. So I think those two need to play in that formation, that 4-2-3-1, the extra support to our defence, which are woeful, by the way. That needs to happen. Now, we need cover if that scenario is going to be played out. For me, it should be Barkley, not particularly a out-and-out number 6 defensive midfield cover. Enzo Berentia does that job very, very well. Looked very good out on loan at Valencia, where he's managed, I think, 12 games, getting a goal and maybe an assist. I'll throw his stats up on the screen as we go. Very, very capable of being that number 6, just sitting in front of the defence and being a bit of a conductor, allowing Kamara and Onana to rest their legs when they need to. And then we move on to Kane Kesler-Hayden. Now later on you'll see why I'm making this recall. Impressed for me in pre-season for us. I was surprised that we went for loaning him out as opposed to loaning Kostan Nedeljkovic out. But I think at the moment he's more ready to come in and be a number 2/3 right back for Aston Villa than Costa. And I think he should be recalled, doing quite well out on his loan, I believe, at Preston North End. I think he's played about 20 games, got 3 assists. His tackle percentages are very good, very high. He'd definitely offer more going forward, I think, right now than Matty Cash defensively. Perhaps some questions could be asked, but as a number 2/3, and you'll see why I'm saying 2/3, I think it could be a very good option to recall him. And then that moves on to loans out. Kostan Nedeljkovic, for me, not getting enough game time. He's young, he's in a prime time in his career to develop his game in terms of men's senior football. So for me, finding him alone on the upper echelons of the Championship, I'm thinking perhaps someone like a Watford, a team like that. He's going to get a lot of experience, a lot of regular game time, or even loaning him out abroad. I'm thinking a mid-table German team possibly could fit, his attributes at the moment, give him a little bit more time on the ball, and just get him some regular first-team football. Now, a couple of other people that could be loaned out, I'm thinking your Bogards, your Sil Swinkles, Ben Broggio, is he ready to get some first-team football and be loaned out, possibly? And a couple of the wingers from down in our under-21s as well could all be worth loaning out. And whilst we're focusing on clear-outs, who would I sell this January? I think the writing will be on the wall, and I'm sure that all of you can guess the 4 players that I'm going to say we should try and ship off immediately. The first one being the centre-back, who literally can't tackle, as the stats on screen just showed you. That is Diego Carlos, way off of the pace for me since he's come back from his injury. This season, every time he starts, you think we're going to concede. I mean, we do anyway. He's a liability at the back. He's always getting stupid yellow cards. Can't put a tackle in. He's lost all of his pace. He can't win a ball in the air anymore. He has to go. He's number 1 on my list of sales. If we could recoup even 10 million for him, I'd be pretty happy with that. And another player that, unfortunately, injury, I think, has ended their Aston Villa career, and that is Emi Buendia. Yes, he came from Argentina. Maybe we should sell him straight back there, because I think for me, 10 to 15 million, he's 28 years of age. He can't keep the ball. He gets tackled too easily. He gets stupid yellow cards, just like Diego Carlos. No pace, no dribbling ability, seemingly, at the moment. Gives the ball away stupidly. And let's be fair, he's either going to be playing on the right, which we might make a signing in that position, wink, wink, or he's going to be playing in that number 10 role. You're never going to get Morgan Rogers out of there because he is that goddamn good. Once Leon Bailey is back to full form, you'd imagine that he would hold that right mid slot down, unless we can make a signing. Like I say, stick around to the end of the video. So for me, Buendia's race has been run. Moving further back down the pitch, Courtney Hawes, I'm not even sure if he's still at the club. If he is, can we just get $1 million for him, or can we just end his contract, get him off of the wage bill? He needs to be gone. And then finally, Robin Olsen. We have Joe Gauci. We've just tied down the likes of Philip Marshall to new contracts at the club. There's no need for us to keep all of these goalkeepers around. Olsen shouldn't be the number 2 for me. It should be Joe Gauci. He's younger, probably better ability-wise. He's been a good servant, Olsen. If we can sell him back, I think Malmo from the Swedish league are interested in him. Great fit for him. He can go play in his homeland, get regular first-team football, and yeah, $1 million, $2 million, I'll take it. So then we move on to the loan market. Now, the loan market really hasn't been used at all this season. I say really, it hasn't, right? We've got no loan players at the club. Last season, we had Clement Longley in and Nicolo Zaniolo, who both served their purposes to an extent, I guess. But this season, I think we do need to dip our toes into the loan market, because it actually offers some interesting prospects this January. Now, we know that Pau Torres has just received a fresh injury. That injury could be a season ender. If it is a metatarsal break, he's gone. He's out. It means that our only left-footed centre-back at the club is Tyrone Mings, who's just come back from an over 365-day absence due to a second ACL injury. That's not easy to come back from, and definitely not easy to get back to the levels that he was before. So I propose an interesting prospect to you before we get into the real interesting stuff. And it's a defender, it's a left-footed defender who plays for a team vying for the Premier League title. It is Jacob Kiwior from Arsenal. Now, only managed, as you can see on the screen, 8 games this season, but some of his stats, especially the defensive side of things in terms of percentages, are very, very impressive, right? He's 24 years old, like I say, can play centre-back, can play left-back. I'll be looking to deploy him as a cover centre-back for Tyrone Mings. He's left-footed. I think if a deal can be done with Arsenal, it may get laughed out of the pitch, this suggestion. Look, I know it's not the greatest, most exciting thing in the world, but it serves a purpose. It gives Arsenal a chance, I guess, to develop him. Perhaps he goes into their team next season. I don't know. Obviously, they do have one of the best left-footed centre-backs in the world in Gabriel at their club already. I just think if a deal's there to be done, it's great cover, Premier League experience, young, explosive. We know he has the quality. That's why he plays for Arsenal. Could be one to look into. Now, where the loan market gets a little bit more interesting is the attacking options that it presents. And that is from 2 other Premier League clubs. The first being Manchester United, currently in what Ruben Amorim says is a relegation battle. He has shunned Alejandro Garnacho and Marcus Rashford, both down to not even being in the squad for most of his matchday squads that he does select. Now, both of them primarily operate off of the left, which is a slight issue. I believe Rashford might be left-footed. I'm not 100% sure. But if you look at the stats, Rashford, 12 starts this season, has managed 4 goals and an assist. We know that Garnacho has quality, and the thing that both of them have is pace, right? They're both rapid, and that is exactly what we need. However, they don't play on the right-hand side of an attack, and that, for me, is a main issue area for us, because like I say, on the left we have McGinn, we have Jacob Ramsey coming back from injury, we have Morgan Rogers, who in my 4-2-3-1 would be playing out on that left-hand side. So I think we have to look more for the right, and that is where a certain club that you may know as the Blues in London, Chelsea, come into factor. Now, there's 2 players that the manager has pretty much already said are going to be leaving. Well, 3 if you count Carney Chapman-Waker, but him and his decisions have firmly ruined that career. Now, the 2 players that I'm talking about is João Felix, first and foremost, and Christopher Nkunku on the other side of the debate, both looking for ways out this January. Now, I would also like to factor in another Arsenal player in Raheem Sterling, who might get recalled from his loan, but I would rather focus on Felix and Nkunku for now. Now, Felix can play across a front 3 or 4, if you include playing up front. He can play as a number 10. We know that he is very, very well liked by the likes of Monchi and Unai Emery. We tried to get him in the summer, but Nkunku, for me, just gets the nod. So let's dive in to his stats. So obviously it hasn't particularly worked for him at Chelsea, but you can see here he has managed 15 goals in 41 games for him. He showed his quality at RB Leipzig earlier in his career. Now, primarily, again, plays as a number 10 or on the left. He is right-footed, but I think probably out of all of them could easily be deployed on the right-hand side if we needed him to, or even as a number 10 to give Yuri Tielemans a break. Now, this is again would be a loan, not a purchase. This season managed 2 goals and an assist in only 3 starts, has played 18 games, but majority of them coming off of the bench due to the likes of Nicholas Jackson playing out of his skin. And his stats, again, they don't paint the greatest picture. He should have had 2 more goals than he actually does have, which isn't too bad. But pass accuracy is still floating around the 100th percentile out of 123 successful passes. That's 91.8%. That is very good. 100% accurate long balls as well. Created 9 chances for his teammates. If John Duran's on the end of those, let's be honest, they're going in. 100% of his tackles won as well. He gets back, he gets mucked in, 4 interceptions. Look, the only reason he hasn't made such a big break at Chelsea is because of the plethora of talent that they do have, right? Jadon Sancho, Cole Palmer, Nicholas Jackson. Could Emery get the most out of him on the right-hand side? I think so. I would give him a go. I mean, you can look at João Felix. Let's look at João Felix. There he is. Possibly, again, you could bring him in, another right footer, slightly better statistically this season, a 7.07. They're looking to get rid of him on loan. Again, his stats relatively the same, pass accuracy less. For me, let's give Nkunku a go in our front four, in a 4-2-3-1, bit of pace, bit of skill, a finishing touch, which we do need. Nkunku and Kiwior are my two loan choices. Let's move on to what we've all been waiting for, right? Who would I buy in this January transfer window? And there is going to be 3 players that I would enjoy if the club did bring in: 2 defenders and an attacking wonder kid that I may have already done a video on, so that may give it away. So let's get in to the first player, and it is, of course, Tyler Dibbling. And there's not really much that I need to say about this kid. If you're a fan of the Premier League and you've seen him play at least once this season, you know just how good this 18-year-old phenom really is. Currently got 2 goals in 18 games. Yes, his match rating isn't fantastic, but again, Southampton are terrible. And the important thing for me is that he's a left footer that can play on the right hand side of midfield, and that is exactly what he's brought in to do in this scenario. Like I say, 2 goals, should have got an assist this season, a good cross accuracy percentage of 28% there, successful dribbles nearer the upper echelon. He's won 2 penalties, he's been fouled 35 times, he's got a lot of Jack Grealish about him. 13 tackles, 1 though. He gets stuck in. He's good defensively as well as offensively, which is something that we need in an Unai Emery team. And the reason that I've put him in there is why we need to get him now is because his market value is only going to go up. There's a lot of big clubs sniffing around this kid. And with Nkunku, the pressure on him coming in goes like that. There's no pressure for him to hit the ground running. We'd have Leon Bailey and Nkunku. I'm keeping Jadon Philogene at the club. There's players above him that can help him. He doesn't have to come in, hit the ground running, play 90 minutes every game. And it would also give us the option, if we needed to even loan him back out this season, get regular game time with Southampton, and then come in the summer. But let's move on to player number 2. Now, I have no idea what I've done here. I've managed to change the theme to dark. I honestly don't know how I've done that. But we are looking at Fikayo tomorrow. I hope it's not too distracting, that colour palette isn't too distracting for you blokes out there. But 185 centimetres tall, 27 years of age, market value of 45 million. He is an established professional footballer, a defender, plays for AC Milan where he's got 137 games under his belt after coming from Chelsea as a young player. And look, it hasn't worked out for him particularly this season. Only 6 starts, 9 games in total, only scratching 500 minutes played. But when he does play, he is very good. He's very good on the ball, 93% pass accuracy, 100% cross accuracy as well for the lad. Defensively, wins 87% of his tackles, which is a stark differential from Carlos, who literally can't win a tackle at all. And look, he should have played more England games, only played 5. We all know the talent that Tomori has. If it costs a lot of money, perhaps you might look elsewhere. But for me at the moment, we need cover for Konsa, well, especially with Carlos going, let's be fair. And maybe AC Milan will want Carlos. They wanted him in the summer. Swap deal, anyone? Question mark, please. But Tomori, for me, he adds that other level of class into the defence. It's between us and Newcastle, if you believe the headlines, and I hope that we can beat the Magpies. But we're going to move straight on here, and it's going to be a right-back. Perhaps not the right-back that you think. If you've seen my other videos, you know I like Michael Coyote, but I believe we need a right-back for right now because Matty Cash is not good enough. And that is why we are going to be looking at Denzel Dumfries, currently playing for Inter Milan in Serie A, 28 years of age, 189 centimetres tall, a market value of around 30 million, an attacking-minded right-back. So far in the league, 15 games, 9 starts, 3 goals and an assist in only 850 minutes. He is one of the best right-backs in the world, and that is why the only reason he says right mid, by the way, is because they play 3 at the back, but he has played right back for a majority of his career. Came from PSV Eindhoven, and if we scroll down here, you'll see offensively an absolute marvel. Will definitely offer us more than Matthew Cash can. 3 goals, his expected goals 2.15. He's outperforming that, 17 shots. He's got an assist this season. His passing does leave something to be desired. But then you look at defensive stats, well, dribbling as well, very, very good stats. But you look at his defensive stats, and this is what we've been crying out for: a right back who can actually defend. 80% of his tackles he wins. He wins 70% in the air. We're seriously lacking in the aerial department in our defence, and balls over the top not being dealt with, and that is why I think Dumfries has to come in to the club. His stats, I mean, they speak for themselves. Tomori, Dumfries, there's the right-hand side of your defence, absolutely shored up. And could you imagine him and Maatsen bombing down the wing, Onana and Kamara being able to slot back into a defensive block if needed in a 4-2-3-1? Why? Should I just be our sporting director? Someone get me a number. And there you have it, but actually you don't. I said there was going to be a bit of an outrageous call at the end of the video, and that is because a golden opportunity appears to have just presented itself out of absolutely nowhere for Aston Villa, and I would love it if we can take it. We all know that Barcelona are one of the best clubs in the world, but unfortunately for them, their financial situation is probably best described as absolutely dire. And that means that they currently can't register a certain player who is going to just become a free agent because they literally can't register him. He cannot play for them. And he's in his prime. Surely he's not going to want to waste a section of his career. So if we can make a free agent sign-in, why not look into Dani Olmo? That is right, it became official in a tweet from Fabrizio Romano yesterday that Barcelona have been told, no, you have presented no viable options to register Dani Olmo as a player. He is now effectively a free agent. And if that is the case, I'm sure Barcelona will probably slip a few million that they've got lying around under the table to someone in La Liga who will allow them to do it. This is one of the best attacking midfielders in the world, ladies and gentlemen. Allows Tielemans to not have to have all the pressure on his Belgian shoulders because this Spanish marvel has only managed 7 starts again due to the issues faced by Barcelona and has already scored 5 goals for them in La Liga. Can also operate on the right-hand side of midfield, something that we definitely need in our team. But you look at his stats, I mean, they're fantastic. Should have got 2 assists. Somehow the strikers at Barcelona not doing their job, but 5 goals already this season off of barely any minutes. A decent long ball accuracy as well there. We go down to his dribbling statistics. You can't get the ball off of him. Defensively, gets mucked in as well. Look, if it's available and we can do it, why bloody not? And there you actually do have it. So in terms of ins and outs of the club, a lot of players moving around, but ins are the ones that you care about, right? In my dream transfer scenario. So let's have a look at the squad depth after my January. So kicking it off with the defensive unit, as you can see on the screen, we still have Maatsen and Digne as our left back options. I don't think that area of the pitch really needs to be looked into too much. Then we have Mings as our main option due to the Pau Torres injury. I've put him in there in case he does manage to come back from it. And Kiwior as the backup option. Konsa and Tomori make up our right-hand side of defence. That's a lot better than saying Konsa and Carlos, let's be honest. Cash drops down to being the second option right back, and Denzel Dumfries takes that mantle. And moving up to the midfield unit where the most changes do happen. You have Onana and Kamara in my 4-2-3-1 being the main starting defensive midfielders, with Barkley and Belenchia coming back to the club able to fill in that role as well. You have Ramsey and Rogers, our left midfield / left wing unit, and out on the right you have Bailey, you have Jaden, you have Tyler Diblin. You could even move Nkunku or Omo out there as well. And then in the middle you have Olmo and Nkunku and Tielemans. Up front we're not going to go through, that would just be the standard. Watkins and Duran. Possibly if you don't loan out Barry, you could chuck him up there as well, but I think that's a pretty tasty January. And there you do have it. If you have enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, comment down below your thoughts on my January transfer window. Also, I'm going to be doing 31 shorts in 31 days, so keep an eye out for those on the channel. A couple of other videos that I'm hoping to get filmed soon as well for you guys to get out some good content on the way. So as always, up the Villa. Oh, I hope January's good.